Avowed is a fantasy RPG where you explore an epic world, fight enemies with magic and swords, and make choices that actually matter. And honestly, it's got some great things going for it. The combat feels powerful, and switching between weapons and spells is fun, but sometimes it feels like it could be just a little smoother. The world is filled with history, secrets, and cool locations, but there are moments where it feels a little empty, like something's missing. The story has some awesome moments and solid writing, but at times, it doesn't quite hit as hard as you'd expect. It's a strong RPG with some great ideas, and while it's not flawless, it's definitely worth playing if you love deep worlds and big choices.
What do you know of the Living Lands?
Baldur's Gate 3 is an absolutely incredible RPG. The level of freedom you have in this game is insane. You can make so many choices that actually impact the story and the world around you. The combat is really deep and strategic, plus there are so many different classes and abilities to experiment with. And the characters are fantastic. I got really invested in their stories and their relationships. Exploring the Forgotten Realms is a real treat too. There's so much to discover. It's a huge game though, so it can be a little overwhelming at times, and I did run into a few minor bugs. Also, the graphics aren't always the most cutting edge. But even with those small issues, this is still easily one of the top 5 games from the last 5 years. If you're a fan of RPGs or just love games with deep stories and lots of choices, you absolutely have to play it. Banisher's Ghost of New Eden is an action-adventure game that mixes ghost hunting with a powerful story about love and sacrifice, and it does a great job of making you feel emotionally connected to the characters. The narrative is really well done, with choices that matter and affect how the story unfolds. The combat is engaging, but it can feel a bit repetitive after a while, which takes away some excitement. However, the atmosphere and visuals are fantastic, creating a haunting and beautiful world. If you're into emotional stories with action, this one's worth a try.
Mark this. He's not just any monkey. He's a monkey of merit.
Black Myth Wukong is an action RPG based on the classic Chinese legend of the Monkey King, and it's absolutely fantastic. The visuals are mind-blowing, the environments are so detailed, and the character models are just stunning. The combat is really deep and challenging. You have to master different techniques and abilities to defeat the various enemies, and it feels so rewarding. I loved exploring the world and discovering all the hidden secrets. The story is really engaging too. It's a great take on the classic tale. Honestly, I don't really have any major complaints. Maybe if I had to nitpick, I'd say some of the boss fights are incredibly difficult, but even that adds to the sense of accomplishment. It's a truly special game, and it's definitely one of the best action RPGs I've played in a long time. Black Ops 6 is a first-person shooter that continues the series' tradition of high-energy action, featuring an exciting campaign and a competitive multiplayer mode. The gunplay is as satisfying as ever, and the graphics are top-notch, really bringing the battlefield to life. The campaign has some great set pieces, but the story doesn't really stand out and feels kind of predictable. Multiplayer is fun with a good mix of maps and weapons, but I did feel like it plays it a bit safe without introducing anything too new. Even with these issues, it's a solid shooter that fans of the series will enjoy. It's one of those games that's easy to pick up but hard to put down.
This moment forth, thou art arisen. Charge and all.
Dragon's Dogma 2 is an action RPG where you create your own character and explore a huge open world full of monsters, quests, and secrets. It's got a really cool pawn system where you can create companions to fight alongside you and even share them with other players online. The combat is really fun and dynamic. There are lots of different classes and abilities to choose from, and it feels great to take down a giant monster. I loved exploring the world, discovering new locations, and meeting all sorts of interesting characters. The story is pretty engaging too. It's a classic fantasy tale with some interesting twists. If I had to mention a little something negative, maybe the graphics aren't the absolute best, but they're still pretty good. But overall, it's a fantastic RPG, and if you're a fan of open-world games with great combat and a lot of freedom, then I definitely recommend it. Elden Ring is a massive and challenging game that I've sunk countless hours into exploring. The open world is absolutely incredible. There's so much to discover, and every corner feels like it holds a secret. The combat is tough, but rewarding. Finally beating a boss after trying again and again is such a great feeling. Building your character and finding new weapons and armor is really fun too. And there are tons of options to choose from. It's definitely not easy though. This game is hard, like really hard, and it can be frustrating at times. Also, the story is a bit cryptic and you have to piece it together yourself, which some people might not like. But even with the difficulty and the somewhat vague story, I absolutely love this game. If you're looking for a challenging and rewarding open-world experience, you should definitely give it a try.
I think I got this.
So I finally got around to playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and I was blown away by how much fun it is. The world is absolutely gorgeous, exploring it is a real treat. Combat is super engaging.
Let's finish this.
Switching between characters pulling off these awesome combos makes every fight exciting. The story is captivating too. Seeing these familiar characters again with some new twists is just fantastic. They really captured the magic of the original while adding their own spin, which is really cool. Even the side quests are enjoyable. They actually add to the world and the story instead of just being boring filler. Now, it's not perfect, of course. I did have a couple of minor issues. The camera can be a little wonky sometimes, especially in close quarters, and I did run into a few little glitches here and there. Plus, some of the dialogue can be a bit cheesy at times. But honestly, even with those small problems, I thoroughly enjoyed Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It's a fantastic game, and I would definitely recommend it to any fan of RPGs or anyone just looking for a really fun adventure.
Bring it!
I played Ghost of Tsushima a while back now, and it still stands out as one of the most beautiful open-world games I've ever experienced. Exploring the island of Tsushima is breathtaking. The scenery is absolutely gorgeous, and the way the wind blows through the grass and trees is just mesmerizing. The combat is really satisfying too. Learning different stances and mastering the katana feels great. The story is compelling and the characters are well developed. I really felt invested in Jin's journey. It's not perfect though. Some of the side quests can be a bit repetitive, and the stealth mechanics aren't always the best. Also, while the world is beautiful, some areas can feel a little empty, but even with those small issues, this game is amazing. If you're looking for a beautiful open-world game with great combat and a compelling story, you should definitely give it a try.
Help's on the way, Erend.
So I finally got around to playing Horizon Forbidden West, and I was completely blown away. The world is absolutely stunning, so beautiful and detailed. Exploring it was a genuine pleasure. The combat is fantastic too. Fighting those giant machines is so thrilling and satisfying. They've improved on the first game in so many ways. The story is more engaging, the characters are more interesting, and there's just so much more to do. I love learning about the different tribes and uncovering all the secrets of this post-apocalyptic world.
Take you out.
It's not perfect though. Sometimes the climbing can be a little clunky, and I did experience a few minor glitches here and there. Also, while the main story is great, some of the side quests felt a little repetitive. But even with those small issues, this game is incredible. It's a must-play for anyone who enjoys open-world games or just a good action RPG.
Here.